Hey, it's Andrew Huang, and today I'm going to show you how to make this. It's based around a sample that I'll play for you in a second. First, I want to thank Health Canada for sponsoring this video. They asked if I could share some facts about vaping, which I can definitely get behind. I think it's great to have all the information when you're making choices about something that can impact your health. I thought we could have some fun with this though, because I'm really into old school PSAs. So rather than just listing off some facts, I got my friend Berkeley to make a PSA that we're gonna remix and turn into that fun track that I played you a clip from at the beginning. I asked him to make something that would be like the retro PSAs that I grew up with, and I'm gonna chop it up with some music production tricks to make this really fun track. So here is Berkeley's amazing vaping facts PSA.
Did you know vaping can lead to nicotine addiction and can alter teenage brain development? Not all vaping liquids contain nicotine, but for those that do, the level of nicotine varies widely, sometimes containing more than a cigarette. Vaping can expose you to harmful metals and contaminants, like nickel, tin, and aluminum, as well as chemicals like formaldehyde and acrolein.
Science!
The long-term effects of vaping are unknown. Why risk it?
Oh, God!
Don't vape. Crepe.
Amazing. Thank you, Berkeley. Crepes are seriously so good though. I'll link to Health Canada in the description if you want more information about health risks with vaping. Let me show you how I turned Berkeley's facts into this banger.
Did you know
Metals and contaminants.
Did you know
Health impacts are still unknown.
Did you know formaldehyde and acrolein? Did you know? Did you know? Did you know? Nicotine. Did you know?
Alter teenage brain development.
Did you know?
That's a good crepe.
So almost every sound in this track I made out of Berkeley's voice. Maybe I'll just start by showing you what's not his voice, which is just some basic drums. Everything else was made out of Berkeley's voice. So the first thing I did was just edit down to all the parts I wanted to use. So there's like a lot of individual syllables that I cut out, as well as certain phrases that I thought might be able to be incorporated into the track. The main sort of repeated part was Berkeley's first line where he says, "Did you know?"
Did you know?
Put some nice stereo panned delay on that. I also made this pattern out of some of the chopped up syllables.
Sometimes more harmful.
I also used Little Alter Boy to do some formant shifting and just create some more interest around that vocal line. One thing I did when I wanted the words to be intelligible but the sound to still be interesting is play with Ableton's warp modes. So here's an example using the Complex Pro mode and pitch shifting down a bunch.
Did you know?
And there's this one part where Berkeley says vaping nicotine can alter teenage brain development, and I put this through the texture mode.
Alter teenage brain development. Alter teenage brain development.
I thought that line would be a good one to highlight.
Alter teenage brain development.
It's one of my favorite effects, and it's hard to decide like which settings you want to use because they all sound awesome. Okay, so now we'll get into some really fun stuff where I was using Berkeley's voice as a synthesizer, and I did this using Ableton's wavetable device. So I took some of those syllable chops and dragged them into wavetable. And what that does is it loops tiny little bits of audio so that it sounds like a consistent note when you play it, but you can still sweep through the sample. So this is Berkeley saying widely.
Widely.
You make him say it backwards.
No.
Yeah, wow. So that sounds pretty awesome. I'm also running that through distortion just to make it sound even like dirtier and gnarlier. Without distortion, with distortion. So I messed around with that for a while, just taking all these different syllables and getting all kinds of different variations on those types of sounds. And with this type of music, it's all about texture and movement. So what really sounds fun is when you start automating multiple parameters on the synthesizer to affect the sound. In this case, I'm doing some wave folding, jumping through the wave table. Now to take that even a step further, I use some of these wavetable synths to play chords. There's also a really fun vibrato one. And with stuff like this, I sometimes get some flack because, I'm taking such a small piece of audio and completely turning it into something that sounds nothing like the original. But if I wasn't using Berkeley's voice, I'd be using a different sound, and then different characteristics from that sound would come through. So like if I show you on this chord, sweeping through the wavetable, you'll hear how different parts of the sample have different timbres. And if I change to a different syllable, it will have quite a different sound. Let's also talk about pitch shifting. So once I had some of these synths going, I turned this one part into like this buildup. That's that chord from before, getting pitch shifted up as well as filtered. Did the same thing with a bass line, by the way. Love this bass line. I think this is also made out of Berkeley saying the word widely.
No.
It's that backwards version of wide. Yow. And then the riser. So that's using MIDI pitch bend, but I also did pitch shifting with audio. I don't even know what that's made from. It's definitely being distorted a lot, but if we get rid of that and we get rid of the pitch shifting,
No.
it's just Berkeley saying no?
No.
Last thing I'll talk about, this is actually like one of the most basic things, but I chopped out some of Berkeley's sibilant syllables. Sibilant syllables. Say that 6 times fast. Sibilant syllables. I chopped out some sibilant syllables to make symbols. So those are the sounds, and I'll just briefly go over how I composed this, but it really started all up in here. I kind of knew the vibe that I wanted to go for. I knew I wanted to build things around this rhythm of I was thinking of that even before Berkeley sent me the sample because I knew I was going to be working with chopped up vocal stuff. So I figured some repetitive stuff, some stuff that's really cut up and rhythmical. That's how I'm going to have to deal with this material. And then after that, it was a lot of back and forth between composing and producing and, laying out the sounds and seeing how they were going to flow and going back also to sound design and making more textures and more crazy sound effects. So fun times, fun times. That was about 2 days straight of work for me, which I feel good about. Lots of sound design, very intricate. I really like this track. All right, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Health Canada for sponsoring. Their link is in the description, and I'll also link to, I'll put a download of this track up, probably on my Patreon or something. Check it out. Bye.